Hello, everyone. It's Shalora back here at the Convention Center, and I'm so excited to show you the very best of PAX West.
Yeah, I'm Ryan Juckett, game director on Never's End, made by Hypersect. So Never's End it's a turn-based tactical RPG, sort of like a Final Fantasy Tactics. It's a game very popular right now coming out. But we're different in how simulation-driven we are and how open-ended the game is. So one of the big things we're showing at PAX right now is how fire magic works. And so in our game, every spot you can stand on has its own temperature level and its own humidity.
Okay.
And magic is about just adjusting the properties of nature and seeing the simulation affect it.
Right.
So if you change temperature, you could cause wind that blows from cold to hot.
Right.
You could make something burn, or if you lower it below humidity, it might start raining. Lower it more, it's going to turn into snow. Snow's going to put snow on the ground. That's going to affect other stuff. Rain's going to create water. And so there's all of these multiplicative systems, and you have a very simple tool, and based on the situation, there's all sorts of tactical possibilities.
It's like a really creative system.
Yeah.
And from what I saw online, there's other elements as well. How do those play into the game?
So there's water, fire, and stone in the game. And so water lets you manipulate the humidity level, which also plays with is it foggy, is there precipitation? But you can also move water, bodies of water between the map. And in addition to having the simulated wind system and stuff, water is also simulated. You don't really ever see in tactics yet. You'll see here's a flat puddle or something.
Yeah.
But here, water will flow down hills, it'll fill in ravines, do all sorts of stuff. And that current of the water is going to push enemies around the map and influence the tactical gameplay.
Yeah, I saw it kind of reminded me a little bit of Minecraft water.
Yeah, it is. It's like that, yeah. And the stone magic is more about the rock cycle. And so all of these are kind of based on real world principles. You can kind of understand them a bit. And so elevation is important for accuracy and all this stuff. So you might have some sand, right? And you could lower it by compressing it into quartz. And then you could lower it further by compressing that quartz into quartzite.
Right.
And then you could lower that further and turn it into lava. And that's going to set something on fire, but it's also going to create heat. Heat's going to feed back into wind. And so as you get more and more of the magic systems, you're learning how these systems all interplay and trying to use that to your advantage.
Yeah. It sounds way more thought out than it looked like in the demo or the trailer online.
Yeah, and so one of the things I love really complicated, deep games, but I want more people to be able to explore that, right? And so we've got this sort of more friendly aesthetic, and it looks more like a traditional JRPG, and it's more inviting. And then we mix that with some creepier elements, some darker themes in the game, and then building you towards these really deep systems where by the end you'll sort of be brought up to enjoy this type of game that might have felt too hard for you to engage with ever before, right? Yeah.
I was curious because there's this aspect and then the possession aspect, and you only get up to 3 characters at a time.
So you start with 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
maybe I misunderstood.
No. Well, technically, you start as one person. So you spawn out of this temple, sort of mysterious thing. The only person that can venture out into this darkness called the Never. And for other people to come with you, you have to possess them, because humans can't do it. And so you have to take their bodies and use it as a resource almost. And you learn that you're sort of this hive mind.
Right.
And as the game progresses, you find you sort of increase your power and be able to take more and more people with you. I don't know what the final number is going to be right now in development. It's 7 or 8. If you have a party of bodies, and every day the time passes as the game keeps moving, every combat, the bodies get more expensive to maintain, magically, and eventually you might have to sacrifice some of them off to get fresh ones.
Right.
And you're sort of dealing with what the what the human cost is of this greater good that you're trying to give to the world.
I was curious because I noticed the diversity in the cast of characters. Did they each have a story, or is it kind of randomly generated?
So the world's procedurally generated at the start of the game, and so there's some characters that are maybe a little more consistent between the worlds, but most of it is generated.
Okay.
And so even the character you start as, which you're kind of attached to because you started the game with them, you realize eventually oh, that body can die off, but I'm still here, right?
Yeah,
and it starts to get into what does it mean to be me? Am I my body? Am I my mind? What is a person, right? And dealing with those themes. And so that's sort of some of the stuff it explores as you go in that direction. Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but the name of the game, Never's End,
Yeah.
Never is kind of like I'm imagining like a final enemy or something we have to defeat.
It's sort of like I might age myself here, but like the nothing in Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of it's what the people refer to this corruption coming over the world, and like it has some more like layered meanings in the game, but not to get just deep in the lore or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically what they call this corruption that's like driving people insane if they go out into it, and like spawning all these creatures in
Yeah.
darkness. Yeah.
What can players expect in terms of like? I was looking over a little bit earlier, and it looks like there's like a lot of options for like what you can do in combat.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you kind of go over like some of the options that we might normally not see in like Final Fantasy Tactics, for
Yeah,
example?
yeah. So again, it's about like letting the player express like creative solutions to problems, right? So we let you try to be like, oh, if you want to like throw your hat at someone, you can do it, or you can throw anything you have, right? And you could pick up weapons, you could drop them on the ground at any point in combat. But like you might be like, why would I throw my hat at someone, right? And you might say, well, my hat, the material of it is leather, and maybe the game says leather's flammable. And that's true for anything leather in the game,
Right.
like anything cloth. And so if you were to throw it through fire and into an oil puddle, it would set fire in midair, hit the oil, ignite the oil, that would spread. Maybe that's next to some spider web, which is also
Yeah.
flammable, and then you burn the spider that's on the web. And so you get to like, with just like something like throw, because all of the other systems are play, and if there's fire, that's going to create wind and blow people in the It's like, it all sort of like intersects in fun ways, right?
Yeah. It sounds like it's actually a game that's like really well thought out. Because I feel like a lot of times we'll be like, oh, well, what if I try this wild, wacky idea?
Yeah.
And it usually doesn't pan out.
Yeah, our goal is that it does,
Yeah.
We're going to do our, hopefully it does. I think it does,
Yeah.
but you can be the
We'll-
judge.
we'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there like, is there maybe like a class system or like how does the characters diversify?
So it's more when you're recruiting people, they have some background. So they're like, I'm a farmer, I'm a miner. That's some base stats. And then they might have some randomized traits on them. Like maybe this person bleeds more, or maybe this person is what we call like a tactician, and they can swap places with other people like with less time spent. They can do it quicker. And so it's a mix of those two things are defining like who do you want to take, right? And farmers also come with certain equipment by default. And then from there you can do whatever. So you could give them any item and you can get better in that item.
Right.
This type of weapon. There's no like class restriction. In some ways it's like the bodies it's kind of dark to say, but sort of like another resource to like put equipment on. Right? Yeah.
Just the skeleton to hold
Yeah,
it
yeah.
up. In terms of replayability, what is that? I guess because they're procedurally generated, it's like infinitely replayable, but
Yeah. I mean, infinite's a big word, but it's so every time you start a new game, things are going to be in different locations. And this game, because of all the weather systems, the biome something's in matters a lot.
Yeah.
And like what's closer and what magic you get first. And if you're just exploring the darkness, like what you find might be different. So I want it to be like, even if you watch like your favorite streamer play the game and you're like, oh look, they did this, and then you go play it, it's not like you don't have the fun stuff for yourself now. You still have like to learn the systems and find your own solutions in your world, right?
Yeah.
Unless you intentionally want to like share a seed with somebody.
Yeah.
But even then, the world sort of evolves with your choices. So we could do something sort of like a little different where you're like, oh, I'm restoring my first town. I want to build an apothecary there. So I suggest that the people do that.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I built a tailor there. So I had access to all this equipment and you had all these healing items, and then you went this direction and like protected this whole different place. So it sort of grows in a different way, even if it is the same seed.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of replayability. I don't know.
Tell me more about this. Like, is it just like one town, or are we restored? Like, what are the,
Yeah,
I guess,
so
like, the options?
you start with the last town remaining, like just the Never's like closed in.
Okay.
Like the people are dying, and you go out into the world and when you find like ruins of old towns, people will like sort of like build roads out to there and start inhabiting it, and it will make like a new tavern, and then you get to like help them decide what other shops to build, and so you have like some agency in like how that develops and what you think is going to be useful for your gameplay.
Yeah. So there's replayability in that too. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely.
super fun to just kind of
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do this one or this
Yeah.
one.
No, yeah, I've played the game a billion times, and it's still fresh because of how much it changes each time I play. Yeah.
It's infinite.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about the art?
Yeah. So the art is, we really wanted to push the level of what you can do with 3D pixel art. So the game's fully 3D, but it looks sort of like that nostalgic
Yeah.
2D isometric tactics game, right? But that lets us do things you couldn't do with sprites, right? Like a lot of people playing here at PAX, and like they're like, look at how much like people play all this animation, and they'll like look around and like spin their weapon.
Right.
And because you can see every piece of gear and it's all on there, you couldn't reasonably draw all the sprites for like every permutation, doing all these like I'm stretching, I'm leaning,
Yeah.
and so the game feels a lot more alive, but it still has that look, and it has like real-time lighting and shadows, and it's kind of like this magical thing where you'll forget and you're like, oh, it's 2D, and then even that like players are here and they're like, oh, I can't see behind this. I'm like, no, remember I told you like spin the camera, and they're like, oh yeah, and it's like that's wild, right? It's
So you can spin the camera too. It's not.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's,
Okay,
yeah.
so no fixed angles.
No.
When are we expected to be able to play the game?
Good question.
Is there a demo at least?
There is no demo release.
Okay.
This is we've only just started showing it. You know, we hope to announce more plans by the end of the year of like when the first demo will come out and when there'll be a release date. But
Yeah.
we're getting near the end.
Yeah.
So,
No pressure.
yeah.
No crunching.
Oh, I
We
have
don't-
pressure. I
Yeah.
have pressure. Yeah.
Well, not from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, wish this the game. I imagine.
Yes. Yeah. We're just on Steam or PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there any other way people can keep up to date with you or like provide feedback or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah. So we have our Discord, and then you can reach out on the Steam forums even, or on socials. We're at Hypersect pretty much everywhere. It's the name of the studio. But yeah, go to neversendgame.com and you can find all the info. We're
Oh, perfect.
accessible.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.